This is Win News.
Wild Oats' sixth Sydney to Hobart, described as the sweetest yet. Hobart comes to life with two massive festivals kicking off, and a man allegedly stabbed in a Glenorchy road rage incident. Good evening, I'm Colin McNiff. Wild Oats 11 has created history, smashing its own record in the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. Wins Brent Costello was at Constitution Dock a short time ago.
Cole Mark Richards and his crew crossed the finish line at 7:23 this morning, completing the Blue Water Classic in 1 day, 18 hours, 23 minutes and 12 seconds, slashing an incredible 16 minutes and 58 seconds off its 2005 race record. Today's historic victory making up for last year's narrow loss to Loyal. She led from the very beginning, and realistically nobody was ever going to catch her. In the end, Wild Oats 11 was in a race against itself. After a tricky night at sea that almost saw the race record slip away, the Super Maxi entered the River Derwent early this morning, but unlike last year, she had Hobart's famous waterway all to herself. Ragamuffin Loyal was nowhere in sight as the famous yacht powered towards Castray Esplanade, smashing her own race record of 7 years by almost 17 minutes. Incredibly, this is the sixth time Bob Oatley's yacht has been first to Hobart. Mark Richards also breaking his own record as the most successful skipper in the event's history. Wild Oats 11 crossing the finish line in 1 day, 18 hours, 23 minutes and 12 seconds, the quickest time of any yacht in the event's 68-year history.
It was a good race. It was a really tough testing race for the team and the crew and the gear handling, and it was a very, very tricky night last night. And but we got here, and we after last year's defeat, the boys are on a real mission this year to redeem ourselves. As he has been every year, owner Bob Oatley was on hand to welcome his successful crew to Hobart, the 84-year-old sending an ominous warning to his yacht's future rivals.
That was 6 today. Next year will be 7.
When are you going to stop?
Never.
Today's win was the perfect welcome home party for Tasmanian Chris Harmson, the only local on board the winning yacht. He says beating the race record was never in the crew's thoughts.
It's far more important to get to the line in one piece, and next most important is to get there first. And the record really takes care of itself. It's a great thing to have on top.
Tradition has it that the skipper of the winning yacht takes a dip in the Derwent. Today Richards was overly apprehensive, but in the end he had no choice. The skipper taking the time to get up close and personal with his famous yacht, a cheeky peck for his historic ride. Second place, Ragamuffin Loyal crossed the finish line early this afternoon, but unlike last year, in 2012 she'd be bridesmaid.
Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
Brent Costello, Win News.
And we'll have more from Brent at Constitution Dock later in sport. Well, back to the day's top story, Wild Oats 11's win in the Sydney to Hobart. Brent Costello is at Constitution Dock with the latest.
Thanks, Cole. It's a fantastic atmosphere down here. We'll have more on the Sydney to Hobart next. Also tonight, Australia destroys Sri Lanka to win the Test Series at the MCG.
Arrow, coming to Win in 2013.
Welcome back to Hobart's waterfront. As we heard earlier, Wild Oats 11 has made up for the disappointment of its narrow loss to Loyal last year, smashing its own race record in the Sydney to Hobart. After a long night of will they or won't they, the Super Maxi crossed the finish line at 7:23 this morning, taking almost 17 minutes off its original mark set in 2005. But the crew says the record was never spoken about, its tactics were simple.
Our whole goal was just to get as far in front of Loyal as we can. We just didn't want to be in the same situation as last year.
Well, that never ended up being a problem. Ragamuffin Loyal didn't cross the finish line until 12:08 this afternoon. Attention will now turn to what's next for Wild Oats and whether the yacht will aim for a record equalling 7th Line Honours win next year.
I know Bob's keen to do that. I mean, that is the record from back in the 40s and 50s.
I'm sure all the crew will be doing for the next 24 hours is celebrating. To our Tasmanian yachts, and Anthony Lyle's Cougar 2 leads the way, with Sean Langman's Maluka of Commandi bringing up the rear of the field in 73rd. Meanwhile, another record's been broken, this time in the Melbourne to Launceston Rudder Cup. 66-foot yacht Gusto crossed the line this morning, 1 hour and 11 minutes faster than the record set in 2003.
In true Tasmanian style, the crew aboard Gusto this morning celebrated by cracking open a Cascade.
Let's go, Gusto, let's go.
They cruised into Beauty Point on glassy water at 7:30, just over 18 hours after leaving Melbourne.
We're all excited. Records they're not easy to break. I mean, you have to have the right conditions, the right boat, and then a lot of people think, you know, 3/4 of the race you're going to break a record and then a wind will change or something will happen. So you never know until you finish.
Even race organisers were surprised by how quickly the 66-foot yacht sailed.
Didn't think it was going to be that bigger race record that they had set. We thought it was going to be a bit maybe close.
The southwesterly winds proved perfect for Gusto, which has twice come second in a Sydney to Hobart.
The wind was at the perfect angle. The boat just loved it. Like, we were slowing the boat down.
Last year's winner, 97, sailed in 5 hours behind Gusto to claim second place, ahead of No Fear and Celeste, just 10 minutes apart. There are 4 yachts yet to arrive, all due in by around midnight. Georgia Love, Win News.
To cricket, and Australia has won its Test series against Sri Lanka after thrashing the visiting team by an innings and 201 runs at the MCG this afternoon. The Aussies were bowled out for 460 this morning before the Sri Lankans fell apart to be dismissed for just 103. Mitchell Johnson's 6 wickets and an unbeaten 92 with the bat, earning him man of the match honours.
As the covers came off, Mitchell Johnson's mission began. When line fell, he was still 17 shy of triple figures, going big, the only option.
Whoa, tuck that!
But in the end, Johnson simply ran out of partners.
No luck for Mitchell Johnson, he's stranded on 92.
Sri Lanka needed a miracle to make the home side bat again, and they never looked likely as disaster struck in the first over.
Oh dear! That was terrible cricket.
Then, next ball, more trouble.
Another one! He's got it! They're gone! He's got another one! Oh, what a performance!
When Bird joined the party, the visitors were 3 for 3. The pressure suffocating.
Close! Very close! Yes, he's gone!
Sangakkara's resistance was ended by a Johnson bouncer, his finger blowing up before a trip to hospital confirmed he'll be out for 2 months. All the while, the carnage continued.
Oh, he's bowling! He's chopped it on!
Peter Siddle left to wrap up the series.
Out, that's it! Carnage, Siddle gets the wicket!
None more jubilant than a man of the match, Johnson.
To get back into the Test team after probably 12 months out, you know, it's really exciting for me and I'm just enjoying my cricket. Yeah.
The Aussies' only concern now, coming from the calf of Shane Watson.
Yeah, I'm certainly doing some thinking at the moment about what my prospects are moving forward with my bowling especially.
Ayrton Woolley, 9 News.
One of the rising stars of Australian tennis has received a wild card for next week's Hobart International. 16-year-old Ashley Barty returns to Hobart a year after making her WTA main draw debut at the same event. Last year's Wimbledon junior champion has rocketed up the rankings from 669 at the start of 2012 and now sits at world number 175. Barty from Queensland is just one of 2 16-year-olds with the world ranking under 200. The event starts today week. The annual Coastal Carnival Series is officially underway. Victorian Reece Parkinson and Sue Sinclair of New South Wales took the gift honours at Latrobe last night, while Olympic cycling teammates Annette Edmondson and Glenn O'Shea took out the wheel races.
New South Welshman Sue Sinclair held off fierce opponents, Olympian Melissa Breen and defending champ Carmen Oakley, to take out the Latrobe women's gift. The 29-year-old called her first trip to Tassie a career highlight.
To win, something as prestigious and historical as Latrobe, it's really an awesome win. It would definitely rate up there in my top 3.
It seemed pink was the colour of the day. In the men's gift, Victorian Reece Parkinson just pulled in front of defending champ Andrew Robertson in the last 2 strides. Not even a bout of gastro the day before could stop the 22-year-old from taking out the biggest win of his career.
I wasn't even sure I was going to get here today, so to pull it together after sickness, can't be happy with that.
In the women's wheel race, Adelaide's Annette Edmondson pipped teammate Amy Cure at the post for a photo finish win.
You go in with a race plan, and so we had 5 girls there working together, and so we had to make sure we did each of our jobs properly, and it came off really well today.
Fellow Olympian Glenn O'Shea took out the men's wheel final for the 2nd year in a row, again with help from his teammates.
We all raced together overseas and that kind of thing, and so there was no stuffing around between us. We just got going, and now we all worked really hard.
The Coastal Carnival cycling continues at Launceston's Silverdome tonight. Georgia Love, Win News.
Well, that's the latest here from Hobart's waterfront. We'll have more tomorrow on the Blue Water Classic, plus all the latest from the Melbourne to Hobart and Launceston to Hobart yacht races. Back to you, Carl.
Thanks, Brent. You can enjoy a cold drink after a long day. We've got the weather details next. A fine start to the weekend.